What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today we're going to talk about the Wrath of the Machine challenge mode. 390 Wrath comes out tomorrow, so I figure it's a good time to give everybody just a little bit of a refresher. I know Wrath is the most recent raid that we've had, and chances are it's your freshest as well, but at the same time, you might be like me and maybe you haven't run Wrath for 6 months? I don't know. It might be quite a long time, so figure we might as well talk about what's going to happen in the raid. There are 2 challenges. We've got Vosik and Aksis, and we'll talk about each challenge, a few tips for each one, and how you can hopefully go ahead and complete this, get all your rewards. Maybe that Nano Phoenix ship, does that ship even exist? I don't know. Anyway, for Vosik, so this challenge is kind of interesting because I've noticed a lot of people that do LFGs. They really seem to struggle with this one. They really seem to struggle with it. So the challenge is basically, you need to activate all 4 of the clean rooms. Those are the 4 rooms that are on each side of the arena. You need to activate all 4 of those throughout the battle with the Siva charges that drop from the ceiling. You need to throw those Siva charges at them, and that's how you're going to end up defeating Vosik, which is really interesting, this challenge mode, because normally, if we don't do it that way, we can defeat Vosik in 2 runs. But because we have to activate all 4 clean rooms, the quickest you can kill Vosik and still get the challenge complete is 3 runs. So you have to prolong the battle just a little bit. So we want to talk about just a couple tips for you. 1, you can pretty much decide if you want to fight Shanks twice or the Dregs twice. I personally prefer the Shanks, and if you want that, you really need to get Vosik's health below 50% on that first run. So how are you going to do that? Well, a weapons bubble in the middle is going to be great. Having a tether is great too. Just watch out, because Vosik sometimes likes to pop the weapons bubble with one of his shots. So that stinks whenever that happens. But obviously he's not going to pop a tether. If you can get the weapons in the tether and then fire off at him with my personal preference, which is the Outbreak Prime, you should be in great shape for dealing out big time damage to Vosik. Now, why do I pick the Outbreak Prime over the Black Spindle or the Sleeper Simulant? Well, I find that Vosik likes to bounce his head around a little bit, and if you're not hitting your critical hit shots with the Sleeper or the Black Spindle, you're basically wasting it. I feel like the Outbreak Prime is just safer, and it still pumps out a lot of damage, because Vosik is counted as a Fallen, so you get bonus damage there, you've got your nanite damage, and Aksis is not, so keep that in mind whenever we're getting over to Aksis. The Outbreak Prime really does not work out on him, but we already know the weapon we're going to be using there. So let's talk about a few additional tips for the Vosik fight, things that might help you out. I personally like to have our Defender Titan right in the middle lane. I like to have him there because whenever it's damage phase time, he can just immediately pop his bubble, and then everybody can get into the Weapons of Light. Weapons of Light with Illuminated and Bastion, boom, everybody's ready to go. I also like to say, in order to get to the damage phase, it's going to take 18 of those Siva charges that drop from the sky, 2 on each side, left, right, middle. It's going to take 18 of those to take down his shield. But if instead of 3 phases of those charges, you go to 4, meaning that in one of those 3 runs, you end up missing one. If you go to 4, you're going to deal out massive damage to Vosik, because the first orb that you throw is going to take down the shield, and then you've got 5 additional charges, dealing out something like 135,000 damage a pop at Vosik. That's going to deal out big damage. That's going to be what helps to get you to the Shank phase, if that is indeed what you want. And if you're in the middle, you definitely want Shanks, because with the Exploder Shanks that come down, you shoot those, they end up chaining up through the Repeater Shanks. It's really, really nice and really easy. So I personally like Shanks. I'm often in the middle with a Stormcaller. That works out really well and takes down the captains as well. Just great. Also, before you even start the fight, make sure you have 2 people who are going to be the designated orb grabbers that are going to activate the clean rooms, and they know this, because whenever the orbs fall from the ceiling during the damage phase, these people are going to need to stop shooting at Vosik, go pick up their orbs, and then take a look where their clean rooms are. The first phase is the trickiest, because the clean rooms can be anywhere. We don't know where they could be. They could be 1 on each side, they could be both on the left or both on the right, so you really need to look out for those. Once you do the first phase though, and you go on to your second phase, it's going to be really easy, because wherever the clean room's activated, they are no longer going to be able to activate. It's only going to be the ones that didn't activate the first time that are able to pop up. So if both of them activated on the left to begin with, then you know you immediately have to move over to the right. So it's just going to make your life much easier. Try to remember that. Again, you should have 2 people that are set and ready to go for that, because you are going to need to activate all 4 of those clean rooms in order for this to work. Overall, this battle isn't that difficult, but it's really funny. We did a video on Gjallarhorn just a few days ago, and we talked about how Gjallarhorn battle really wasn't difficult as far as the ads go, but the mechanics, that challenge mechanic and the communication could be tricky. In this battle, there are a lot of ads shooting at you, and you might die from the ads. The ads are definitely the trickier thing than the mechanics, but please, for the love of God, shoot the monitors. You will absolutely cry if you end up wiping to monitors, and I guarantee you, some of you will do it. I'll probably do it as well. It's gonna sting. But that's the Vosik challenge. It's really not that difficult. Again, activate all 4 clean rooms, and then after that, on your 3rd run, kill Vosik. Boom, you've got it complete. Now we get to move on to Aksis, and it's really funny because the Aksis challenge is actually much simpler, yet more difficult as far as the timing goes. Pretty much for the Aksis fight, whenever you go to stun Aksis, you also have to activate one of his empowerment plates. So basically, for the Aksis challenge, every time Aksis teleports, you have to 1, stun him, and 2, activate the empowerment plates. And actually, you want to do it in the opposite order. You need to activate the empowerment plates first and then stun him. You basically can't miss a teleport, you can't miss a stun, you can't miss an empowerment plate. If you do, you're going to have to wipe. And before we go any further, let's talk about how you actually stun and activate those plates. Basically, just hold down your action button, your revive button on the PlayStation, it's square, whatever it is on the Xbox. You just hold that down. You don't need to actually see the prompt coming up. Just start holding it as you're floating over Aksis, and then hopefully it will activate. You don't need to wait and see it. But you really want that person who hits the empowerment plate to go first, and once they hit that, then you stun him. So I noticed whenever I did it, we were so used to running after Aksis immediately whenever he teleports, and jump on his back and stun him immediately, that sometimes the people who were supposed to go over to the plate didn't get there quick enough. So the person that goes to the plate actually has to go first, and then you can go. You really have to wait. It takes a lot of willpower to just not stun Aksis immediately. It's that muscle memory, but try to remember, empowerment plate first, then stun Aksis, and it's got to be quick. It definitely has to be quick. There is no dilly-dallying at all. So how do you go about doing this? Well, if Aksis is going to teleport somewhere, the empowerment plate is not going to activate on the same side that he teleports. That's really important. So if you happen to be on the left-hand side, and you're an empowered person on the left, and Aksis teleports over to the left, you do not have to worry about that left empowerment plate being up. It'll either be in the middle or on the right hand side, and you'll know which one it is because there's going to be red flames, red energy just floating out of the square plate. That's what you need to run over to, again, if you're the empowered person on that side, and you need to hold down your button to discharge it. Everybody on your team's going to get a super, it's going to be great, then the person should hopefully stun. Then of course all the empowerments will switch and you'll have to get into position again. In the middle, basically the plate you need to go to is exactly where Aksis would teleport if he was going to teleport to the back middle. Right there is exactly where the empowerment plate is for the middle. Can't miss it at all. And basically where you want to stand is, on the left and right hand side, the empowerment plate is right in front of the pillar if you're looking from the middle out towards the left and right. It's pretty much right to the side of the pillar. And in front of that big huge column pillar, there's just a little bit of cross-hatching of yellow bars like caution taped down on the ground. Stand there, that's going to be halfway in between the empowerment plate and Aksis on either side. That way if Aksis teleports over to you, you can go and stun him. If he doesn't, and it's your empowerment plate, you can quickly turn around and run back to that and activate it. Really not that difficult or tricky. The trickiest thing is going to be your timing. Now the one thing to remember is, in this battle, damage is not difficult. You've got the Dark Drinker, and chances are everybody's going to be rocking out the Dark Drinker yet again. So whenever it comes time for Aksis's third teleport, that's where the big damage comes in. That's where we pop a Weapons of Light bubble and everybody goes to town with their Dark Drinkers. That's great. In the meantime, in Phase 1 and Phase 2, don't worry so much about your damage as opposed to getting exactly into position. Obviously you have the Fallen Captain launchers that you can go ahead and shoot at Aksis, but if you're on a Hunter and you've got a Golden Gun on, have Celestial Nighthawk on, you're going to get your super each time, pop your golden gun, deal out massive damage with Deadeye. Oh my goodness, you're gonna melt Aksis. If you're on your Warlock in a Sunsinger, you've got double fusion grenades. Go ahead and pop those with Viking Funeral, the double burn. You'll deal out big damage, and everybody else on your team will deal out a little bit more damage as well. So if you've got those two supers, pop those each and every time, and feel free if you're on a Defender Titan as well to go ahead and pop it, because again, you're going to get your super each and every time. And if you don't get your super each and every time, well, you've done the challenge wrong, so you're going to have to wipe and restart again anyway. So overall, the Aksis battle isn't that difficult. There are some additional guides that we made back in time just talking about this. Your strategies might change a little bit, but if you need a refresher course, they are out there. Again, what you need to do on Aksis is you need to activate those empowerment plates and then stun Aksis. It's got to be a boom boom type of thing. There's not a whole lot of waiting, so everybody needs to know if they are empowered on one of the three sides, that they are either going to have to stun Aksis or activate a plate each time. There's going to be one plate and one place where Aksis teleports, so you need to have your head on a swivel and be ready to go. If he comes to your side, jump over to his back, wait until the person ends up activating their empowerment plate, and then stun him. It's going to have to be boom boom. You might have to even start trying to stun him ahead of time, because sometimes people are a little bit slow on calling out whenever they've actually activated the plate. You might want to get started, because even if you happen to stun Aksis first, there's just a tiny bit of leeway, so it's better to be safe than sorry. If you get over there and you're like, man, I've got to activate this, if not, it's going to fail, just start activating it. Hopefully by that time the person on the plate does indeed activate the plate, and then everything will be good and ready to go. Pop your supers if you've got a really good damaging super. Again, the Sunsinger with the double fusion grenades and the burns. The Golden Gun Hunter, absolutely. If you've got a tether, feel free to shoot that out. I personally would probably be on a Golden Gun Hunter. I just prefer to get all my damage out in one shot and then worry about getting into position for the plates or the stuns. So overall, that's our Wrath of the Machine challenge guide. We've got Vosik. You've got to activate all of the clean rooms, all 4 of them with the Siva charges, and then kill Vosik on essentially the 3rd run. And then for Aksis, we have to activate an empowerment plate and stun him every single time he teleports. And with Aksis in the Dark Drinker and all the damage you'll deal with your super, you should take Aksis down in 2 rounds. Anyway, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your wrath, and I'll see you around in Destiny. #390 challenge. Where's my Nano Phoenix, man?